Today, we provide you once again with the most important news about your upcoming favorite movies and series. This week, we cover The Marvels, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, an HBO series by Steven Spielberg, and news about the upcoming Hellboy reboot. Plus, there's updates on Venom 3 and the latest rumors regarding the potential new leader of the Avengers. Have fun watching. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom will be the last film from the current DCEU to be released at the end of the year. That will make a total of 16 films in the universe that started with Man of Steel in 2013. One thing is certain, the previous universe will no longer be continued after the acquisition of the DC Studios by James Gunn and Peter Safran, and will instead be replaced by the new DC Universe, or DCU for short. Thus, all movies that have been released after 2013 will no longer receive a sequel, which also means the exit from DC for most of the leading actors. With Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the nearly 10-year existence of the old universe could be brought to a grand conclusion, at the same time create a good transition to the DCU. However, the latest reports suggest that the movie is far from being well received by audiences. Movie insider Jeff Snyder, who is usually well informed, recently commented on Twitter about the test screenings of the Aquaman sequel. He claims to have learned that these have just started and so far have turned out to be extremely disappointing. Lead actor Jason Momoa is also rumored to have reacted with considerable resentment when he learned that viewers were leaving the screenings in droves. This is probably also a result of the fact that initial screenings were already run last summer, which were likewise received negatively. The 43-year-old could nevertheless stay with the DCU, unlike most of his fellow stars. Rumors have been circulating for some time that although he will turn his back on Aquaman in the future, he will take on the role of the alien bounty hunter, Lobo. The DC bosses have not yet officially spoken about this for now. The priority will be on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the remaining DCEU films. Therefore, the film may not be doomed yet. There is still plenty of time to turn things around in post-production and deliver a worthy sequel to the very successful first installment. The test screenings are not a reliable indicator for the success of a film anyway. In the past, many films flopped there, which were then successfully adjusted based on the feedback, or they flopped at the box office despite excellent test screenings. Either way, we are looking forward to the final outcome. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is slated for a December 25, 2023 theatrical release. While Guillermo del Toro's comic book adaptations Hellboy and Hellboy II: The Golden Army with Ron Perlman are modern classics, 2019's Hellboy with David Harbour was a total flop, both at the box office and among critics. Nevertheless, the franchise is to continue as a new movie has now been announced. According to an exclusive report from Discussing Film, rights holder Millennium Media is giving it another try with a live-action Hellboy movie. The script has already been written, as it is to be directed by Brian Taylor. He is best known for his films Crank and Crank 2: High Voltage with Jason Statham. The current working title of the new Hellboy film is Hellboy: The Crooked Man. A comic of the same name was published in 2011, the plot of which takes place in 1956, where Hellboy meets Tom, a man who sold his soul to a demon. Together they travel to the Appalachian Mountains to confront the demon and save Tom's soul. How much of the story will be adapted for the film is unclear as of yet. Shooting is scheduled to start in Bulgaria in April of 2023, and the casting process has already begun. Of course, there is the big question of who will play the diabolical hero after Ron Perlman and David Harbour. Discussing Film reports that they are likely looking for an actor in his 20s or 30s. The film is expected to be another reboot, so whether and which of the well-known supporting characters will be in it this time remains to be seen. Since the project is already in production, we anticipate more news very soon. There is currently no release date nor a publisher, which means that a direct release from a streaming provider is not out of the question. We will keep you up to date, as always. The Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson is to this day one of the biggest film franchises known across generations and still enjoyed by many. Amazon also acknowledged this a few years ago when it secured the rights for its own series set in the Second Age of Middle-earth. However, the series was not as successful with fans as those in charge had hoped, and in terms of popularity in particular, it falls short of the movie trilogy from the 2000s by a long way. Now, as has been reported by Variety, there are big plans from Warner Bros. For new feature films based on the Lord of the Rings universe.
At the time, the movie studio was responsible for the production of both The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit trilogy. During the presentation of Warner's quarterly figures, there was the surprising news that the company will work together with the Embracer Group on new movies in the future. Last summer, the Embracer Group secured Middle-earth Enterprises, meaning the complete film and merchandising rights for the franchise. They are now cooperating with Warner Brothers in a multi-year deal. By the way, there should be no conflicts in terms of story with the ongoing Amazon series, since it is set in the Second Age, and according to reports, the upcoming films will again focus on the Third Age. As announced by the new heads of the Warner Brothers Film Group, Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy, there are still many stories to be explored in the gigantic universe of the Lord of the Rings creator J.R.R. Tolkien, and they would like to immerse themselves deeper into the world of Middle-earth along with the fans. We are definitely excited and look forward to more news from the upcoming The Lord of the Rings series of movies. However, it will certainly take a few more years until the first movie releases.
It was hardly surprising that a third part of the successful series with Tom Hardy was announced after the release of Venom: Let There Be Carnage. There really wasn't much info in the past year and a half, so an update on the production was anxiously awaited by fans. Via Instagram, Venom star Tom Hardy has now shed some light on the matter and officially announced that the movie is still in pre-production. Shooting has yet to start, but apparently the cast and script has been set and filming can be expected to begin shortly. The popularity of Eddie Brock and his symbiote friend has increased immensely since the first film from 2018, which is also reflected in the box office takings of a total of $1.36 billion for parts 1 and 2 of Venom. The biggest fan desire at the moment might be to see a clash between the anti-hero Venom and the superhero Spider-Man. This is fueled by Venom's appearance at the end of Spider-Man: No Way Home and is absolutely possible due to Sony's valuable Spider-Man film rights. Moreover, it should be in the best interests of all parties concerned to get the franchise back on track to the success of the first part with a big hit after Venom: Let There Be Carnage performed worse than the original, in part also due to the pandemic. A release date is not available yet, but we expect filming to begin this year. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the first movie from Phase 5 of the MCU, has recently hit theaters. So far, the reviews have been mixed, even if the movie was not as badly received by audiences as it was by movie critics. Now that it has been clear for a few days that Robert Downey Jr. will not return as Iron Man despite popular fan demand, there is the question of who will be the new leader of the diverse superhero squad. If current rumors are to be believed, there may soon be a superhero following in Iron Man's footsteps who would not initially be thought capable of doing so. We are talking about Spider-Man, who was Tony Stark's protege and shared a touching father-son relationship with him. After an upcoming Spider-Man 4 was officially announced recently, and Tom Holland was allegedly cast for a total of 2 new films, it would make perfect sense to give the superhero more responsibility. This is also consistent with the fact that Sony and Marvel probably want more characters from the Spider-Man universe to appear in the upcoming film, and fewer superhero pals from the Avengers. Besides Spider-Man 4, Peter Parker is also expected to star in the upcoming Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and lead the Avengers in the fight against Kang. But first, fans can look forward to Tom Holland's next solo adventure. However, there is sadly no release date for Spider-Man 4 yet. The MCU is known for producing many movies and series in an impressively short time. This does not always work out smoothly. In the recent past, it often happened that Marvel had to postpone the one or other film, sometimes by several months or even years. Via Twitter, Marvel Studios got in touch last week to reveal the postponement of one of the upcoming MCU films. The film in question is The Marvels, unofficially known as Captain Marvel 2. In spite of the release of a new poster showing the 3 main characters, the simultaneously announced postponement comes as a surprise, especially since no official explanation has been provided by Marvel as to why it has been pushed back from July to November 2023. However, it is considered likely that difficulties in post-production are the cause for the delay of the theatrical release. Moreover, it helps to balance Marvel's ambitious schedule, which still includes Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Kraven the Hunter, and Loki Season 2. The release of The Marvels thus frees up some time in the summer and brings 2023 to a proper close with the film. In terms of story, the movie revolves around the reunion of 3 well-known characters: Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau, who was already known from WandaVision. Khan and Rambo have their very own history with the mighty superheroine, who has previously made a solo appearance in the MCU. Also, the movie picks up where the MCU series Ms. Marvel left off, which came out last year. It'll get to the bottom of why characters suddenly change locations when using superpowers. In addition to Brie Larson, Iman Vellani, and Teyana Paris, the movie will see the return of Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, after connections to the Marvels will also be made in this summer's MCU series, Secret Invasion. The movie is scheduled for release on November 10, 2023. A film about the French military general, Napoleon, has been in the works for several years under the supervision of director Ridley Scott. Lead actor Joaquin Phoenix will portray Napoleon Bonaparte, and the content will be about his rise to power as well as his relationship with Empress Josephine. As we know since the last Berlin International Film Festival, this will not be the only project that focuses on the life of the general and dictator. As Steven Spielberg revealed on the occasion of the film festival, he has been working on a Napoleon series for 10 years. This was originally planned by the late cult director Stanley Kubrick in the 1980s, who had already written the screenplay back then. However, the historical film Waterloo flopped at the time, which failed to win over audiences with a similar theme. As a result, Kubrick was unable to find a studio willing to accept his project. Kubrick eventually passed away in 1999 at the age of 71 without ever having produced his Napoleon film. Together with Kubrick's widow Christiane and his brother-in-law Jan Harlan, Spielberg claims to have been working on a Napoleon series for over 10 years, which will be based on the script originally written for the film. The project is to be produced for HBO and will presumably be directed by Spielberg in an executive role. In the past, Spielberg already handled a different Kubrick project, namely the film AI, Artificial Intelligence. Further information is not yet available, but it will surely take some time before the 7-part series can be seen on HBO Max. Prior to that, we can expect to see Ridley Scott's Napoleon in theaters, which has already been shot but has not been given a release date yet. Alright, now you're back up to date. You can find even more information about the upcoming Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in our new original episode. Check it out if you want to learn more about the upcoming movie's characters, production, and plot. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.